Honey.
Yeah.
Don't you want to come to bed?
She's got to be kidding.
Yeah. I'll come to bed as soon as this is over. Kiss me, you fool. Lord, put the right words in my mouth. This is such an explosive and delicate subject. Open their hearts, Lord, so their marriage can be healed. Frank, is your program finished?
Yeah, it was pretty good tonight.
Well, I'll see you in the morning, Mark. Good night. Could I talk with you for a few minutes, Frank? I think it's pretty important. Gee, Mark, I'm really worn out. I should have gone to sleep hours ago. I've got a big day facing me tomorrow at the office. Okay. What's it all about? Frank, may I ask you a very personal question? Please understand, I'm only trying to help. Go ahead, shoot. This may sound like a TV commercial, but how's your love life?
It's, fantastic.
Come on, Frank. Let's have the truth.
It's rotten.
When's the last time you made love?
About a month and a half ago.
Then there's trouble in River City?
Yeah, I guess you can say that.
In the Bible, that's a no-no, Frank. Outside of illness, the only reason for not making love is because of prayer and fasting.
Are you kidding?
No, Frank. It says in 1 Corinthians 7:5, defraud ye not one the other, except it be with consent for a time, that ye may give yourselves to fasting and prayer, and come together, that Satan tempt you not for your incontinency. That means lack of self-control.
You just went over my head, Mark. What does Satan have to do with it?
You've got 3 enemies, Frank. The world, the lust of the flesh, and the devil. I just saw all 3 of them hit you through that TV program tonight.
Aw, that's crazy, Mark.
Didn't that beautiful woman turn you on when she said, "Kiss me, you fool"?
Well, a little, I guess. After all, I am human.
Hey, Frank. All of us are human, and the devil knows our weak points. And sex can be a weak spot.
I see. If we do it the way the Bible says, then I won't be tempted so often.
That's right. If you are tempted, Frank, here are some good things to read in the scriptures. Especially good is the 39th chapter of Genesis. This will show you pitfalls Satan can set up. Also Proverbs chapters 6, 7, and 9. In Proverbs 5:15, it says, "Drink waters out of thy own cistern, and running waters out of thine own well." What does that mean? It means be faithful and true to your own wife, Frank. Frank, outside of the Lord, who is the most important person in your life?
I guess it's my wife.
That's right.
Helen is okay, but she's always chewing me out. She never stops nagging.
Frank, that could be because you're not fulfilling her needs. Let me share something. Life has always been a rat race, all through history, and your wife needs comfort in a loving way. Let's go back to the 12th chapter of 2 Samuel in the Old Testament. Remember when King David and Bathsheba
were expecting their first baby?
Yeah, I think so. It was a time of great sorrow, and the Lord took the baby home. And in other words, it died. And the Bible says that David comforted Bathsheba his wife, and went in unto her and lay with her, and she bore a son, and he called his name Solomon, and the Lord loved him. Frank, did you ever notice how nice and polite you and Helen treat each other when someone important comes to your home? Yes. If you could capture that respect all the time, your home would be perfect again. The key is in the scriptures. This applies to you, Frank. Husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it. Remember your courting days, how you always tried to look your best? Yeah. Why not do the same thing now? Make yourself desirable for Helen by using deodorants and mouthwash. Even surprise her once in a while with flowers. It'll do wonders for your marriage. The Bible says that marriage is honorable and the bed undefiled in Hebrews 13:4. It's the most beautiful act of love in marriage, so enjoy it. The love of act doesn't end with a climax for each partner. A loving husband doesn't just turn over and go to sleep. He will hold his wife in his arms and tell her how much he loves her. I really needed that. Thanks, Mark. Let me give you just 1 or 2 more goodies that will help you, Frank. Okay, go ahead. Oh, that was good. Frank, don't be afraid to show your affection for Helen in public. Hold her hand and give her a kiss and a squeeze once in a while. That'll make her proud that her husband loves her that much. Gee, Mark, I'd feel like a nut. Try it and see if she likes it. I bet she will. Don't embarrass Helen about her weight. Instead of criticizing her, compliment her. Everybody needs encouragement. Stop putting her down. One last thing, Frank. Husbands will listen to everybody but their own wives. She is your best friend, so pay attention. Don't tune her out. She loves you. Frank, I'd like to talk to Helen about this, explaining it through the scriptures. That is, if I have your permission. You bet, Mark. Anything to help our marriage grow. Helen, I talked to Frank about being a better husband. Well, he certainly needs it. He didn't seem to understand what the Bible says about husbands making love to their wives. You can say that again. I told Frank to make himself as attractive as possible by shaving and using deodorants, and to be gentle and loving. Why, how nice! Helen, the Bible has a lot to say about sex between the husband and wife, and how the act can become a thing of beauty. Far as I'm concerned, it's a nightmare and I can do without it. That's a sinful attitude, Helen, because it's putting your marriage in jeopardy. Your husband is facing his middle-age syndrome, and if you aren't on guard, it could be disastrous to your family. What's a middle-age syndrome? That's when a man hits middle age. He feels he's going over the hill, and all at once, all the young ladies start appealing to him. Frank would never do such a thing. He loves me. Helen, King David was the apple of God's eye, and when David was 50 years old, he fell for Bathsheba and made a real mess of things. And you don't think Frank could fall? You better think again. Frank is in his most dangerous years. What can be done to hold him? First of all, get into the scriptures with him. Then make yourself as attractive as possible. Let's face it, Helen. You have competition. Divorcees at work looking for security in a man. And some don't care
whose husband they get. Also, TV doesn't help with beautiful, seductive women that your husband enjoys watching. Well, I try to make myself attractive by using curlers and face creams. That's fine, Helen. But why not try to take care of your beauty treatments when you're alone? As your husband represents Christ to his church and is willing to give his life for you, then you must put yourself into the position of the church and be submissive to your husband and try to please him. When you both give 100% of yourselves to each other, you will then be more considerate of each other. It's the little things that count, Helen, like trying to look nice and smelling good. And another thing, Helen, if Frank fails to perform, never ridicule him. He could become insecure over his manliness and develop some real problems. So be sweet and tender, and you can overcome these things, and your marriage will improve. Thank you, Mark. Oh, Mark, with the Lord's help, I'm going to be a great wife. The next morning. Bye-bye, sweetheart. I'll miss you. Me too. I love you, Frank.